Okay, so last weekend I had the pleasure of watching Inside Out 2. And as you can tell by me using the word pleasure, yeah, I liked this movie a lot. I think Inside Out is probably one of my favorite animated films over the past decade. When I look at Pixar over and also the past decade, it is in my top three films of theirs. I mean, there's a Toy Story movie in there that kind of wins by default. No, Lightyear doesn't count. But Toy Story 4, I absolutely love. Soul is something that hit me on a very, very personal level. And Inside Out, it's like, it didn't hit me as personally as those other two movies did, but I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I think it's very creative. I think it's very colorful. I think it's just very fun. But there's also a lot of relatability in there, though. Um, Funny enough, on the day that I watched the film, I was over here just kind of seeing what was on TV, and Inside Out 1 was on TV. And I'm watching that one scene, because there's two scenes in this movie that made me cry the last time I watched it. One, as you can probably guess, is what happens to Bing Bong. The other scene is when Bing Bong's rocket falls into, I don't remember what they call it, but essentially into the abyss. And he's sitting there and he's really sad. And Joy is trying to cheer him up, but she can't. And it's sadness that is able to comfort him and give him what he needs. And it's when Bing Bong's like, Riley and I were gonna go to the moon. Like, it made me cry the last time I saw it. And then when I was just watching that scene casually, I'm like, no, like, I'm crying. What the fuck? Why does this scene hit me so hard? I don't get it. And then he starts crying candy and I start laughing. Like, this is peak emotional whiplash. I bring all that up to say I absolutely love the first movie. And to me, I don't think I liked Inside Out 2 quite as much as Inside Out 1, but clearly, like, that's a very high bar. I feel like it's about as good. To me, it's a bit more personal with my own issues with anxiety. I think it's just as beautiful to look at. It's just as creative. It's very funny at a lot of different points. There's also some moments, though, where I was like, ugh, I don't want to watch this. And I feel like I'm supposed, it's the kind of like uncomfortable moments I got while watching Joker, not nearly to that same degree, but I feel like my discomfort watching it is less because it's not handled well, and it's like it's doing exactly what it's supposed to. So while I didn't enjoy watching it, maybe not as much as the first one, I think it is of very similar quality. So, what I try to do with movies, especially if it's a movie that's like in theaters, is no spoilers, mild spoilers, full spoilers. So no spoilers, like I said, it's gorgeous, it's colorful, it's creative. One of the very early scenes in the movie, like with some of the new stuff that they do, is a person's sense of self. And the sense of self is related to all their beliefs. So the beliefs, it's like this secret room where there's like this river and there's all this water, and you take a memory and you put it in there, and the memory becomes, I guess, like, it's not a core memory because that's your personality, but your sense of self is more just about like, hey, because of this memory and the impact it had on me, I know that I'm a good friend, or I know that I'm a good person, etc., etc. And Joy, being Joy, is like, we don't need all these bad memories, like, hey, here's one where Riley failed a test. We don't need that. Hey, here's one where she maybe did something she shouldn't have. We don't need that one either. We just need the good stuff. So I've made this device where I put a memory in there and I send it to the back of the mind where we never have to think about it again. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to be important, is it? There's no way we're going to have to take a journey all the way to the back of the mind, right? That would be crazy. But those are some of the things that, those are some of the new concepts. We do get new emotions in the movie. We get anxiety, embarrassment, envy. We get ennui, which, I'm sorry, just like, okay, there's a French goth emotion. I love the character designs in this movie. Which I'll be honest, ennui is never a word I've heard before. Is a word I had never heard before. It's boredom, it's like dissatisfaction, dispassion, that kind of stuff. One of my favorite jokes in the movie, I know this isn't no spoiler, but this happens so early on, I think it's fine, is when they're introducing the new emotions. This little old lady who kind of made me think of SpongeBob's grandma when I saw her design. It's like, oh, hi, everyone. Do you remember that thing we just did 30 seconds ago? It was so nice. Those were the days. Nostalgia. You're not supposed to be here yet. Riley won't need you till, like, at least 10 more years. So they just kind of pushed nostalgia back. I got a really good laugh out of that. I thought that was gold. Let's see. Oh, speaking of, like, how good the movie looks, something I want to shout out in particular is whenever Riley is playing hockey, I felt like the hockey animations, like, looked really good. Like, I thought the movement was really slick and really smooth. I don't know, the Stanley Cup was going on, so I guess, like, shout out to the Oilers and the Panthers real quick. I think the only other real big thing to say in this early part of the movie is Riley is going through puberty. And again, this happened super early, so I feel like I could spoil these parts. I feel like it's happened so quickly, it's not really, it's a complete no spoiler. When puberty starts happening, like, there's this alarm that's going off, and then, like, the construction crew's like, all right, boys, it's demolition day! So they just start, like, destroying some of, like, the emotional headquarters and stop halfway through, and the emotions have no idea how to process what's going on, and I think that's absolute gold. Anytime Riley is trying to feel something, they'll touch the console, like sadness slightly touches, and Riley just starts crying, or anger kind of slightly touches, she gets really angry, like, why did you touch it so hard? I didn't! She's just feeling things, like, so much stronger than she used to. I think that was really, really funny. And then, yeah, like I said, like, the new emotions coming in. So I think that's all I would say for no spoilers. If you're interested in this movie, I would highly recommend seeing it. I feel like if you are someone who deals a lot with anxiety, I feel like you would appreciate this movie. There might be some parts where you're like, that hits a little too close to home. I'm not sure about this, but it might not be quite cathartic, but it might be. I don't know. It was for me. I don't want to say my experience is the same as everyone else's. I would also say, though, if you enjoy the first movie, if you enjoy Pixar, I feel like this is a movie you will still like and go see it. So now, transitioning to mild spoilers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mild spoilers are live. Anxiety is our antagonist of the movie, but she's not the villain. Because she's not... If this was an Osmosis Jones movie, she would be the villain. Be like, yeah, I'm anxiety. I am going to destroy Riley from within. Instead, anxiety is like, no, like, I am one of Riley's emotions. I want to help. And the way that I help is I think of every possibility. I think of, okay, here's all the things that can go wrong, and because these are going to go wrong, this is the shit we have to do to prepare for this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Oh, but what if this, and this, and this, and this happens? I don't have backup plans for that, but I need backup plans for that, etc., etc. And Joy is at odds, but one thing I really like, and this is also kind of a no-spoiler thing, is Joy kept her character development from the first movie. There's points where she's like, hey, Riley needs to feel sadness. She needs to feel like, not right now, but just give it a couple minutes. Okay, this is the time where we can do it. Sadness, do your thing. And I really appreciate that. And you also see it with anxiety, where at first he's like, okay, I understand, I'm not the only emotion. Riley needs more than just being happy. Because, repressing your emotions, small pin in that you won't be happy, you won't be healthy if you do that. kind of trying to let anxiety do her thing, but the more anxiety is doing her thing, she's like, I don't think you're actually helping. I don't think you are a healthy emotion, so I'm gonna try and get some power back, or try to just stop you, which leads to the base 5 emotions getting locked in a jar, and they get sent to the vault. And anxiety be like, yeah, Riley's going through some changes, she's becoming a different person, I don't know if y'all are what she needs, and also takes the sense of self and puts it in the thing and throws it to the back of the mind. It's like, that's the old Riley. We don't need that. We're going to make a new Riley, a better Riley, an anxiety-filled Riley. And again, not in like a fucked up Osmosis Jones way where she's like actively trying to infect her, but she is actively infecting her and slowly but surely making Riley this anxiety-filled mess by putting all of these anxious memories into the belief system. And that's more of a full spoiler thing, but you can kind of see where it's going. So, the old emotions, taking the small pen out, they end up becoming suppressed or like repressed emotions. And they get put in the vault. As someone who has been recently watching Adventure Time, I got a kick out of the fact that there's actually a vault. So the characters that they meet in the vault, I think Bloofy was his name. It's this like Dora the Explorer animated character who's like actively talking to an audience who's not there, and his little magic pouchy. It's like, what do we need, kids? A tomato? A straw? Or dynamite? And then Anger just grabbing the dynamite. It's great. There's this other dude, I don't remember his name. It was like Lance something, who is this Cloud Strife adjacent video game character that Riley had a crush on. It's like, alright, she's repressing the crush, she's repressing the fact that she still likes this old preschool show. And then there's Deep Dark Secret, who's this like big hulking dude. He's wearing like a hood, he's got these big glowing eyes. Like, I really liked his design. So Deep Dark Secret like breaks them out of the vault but stays in. And Lance, Deep Dark Secret gets them out of their room, but then they have to deal with the cops. So Lance does his signature move where he like rolls up into a morph ball, and that's it. They talk about how useless it is. He just like rolls forward. I'm like, okay, so is he gonna like hit them and like knock them down like bowling pins? No, they just kind of part the Red Sea and he just keeps going. Then he like hits a mop, and then a mop like hits a cop who like falls and hits another cop, and etc., etc., and then all the cops end up falling into one of their own vaults. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a really weird scene. I think the idea is very funny. It's one of those where I think if the animation was faster, and I really felt like the impact of all of these hits, it would have been really funny. But because the animation is slowed down, so it's... I want to say it. I remember watching the Castlevania show, and I think it was specifically the scene when Bloody Tears started playing. The animation is very slow to really emphasize the weight and the choreography, which I appreciate. But also, I'm like, I don't know, when I'm seeing 3 vampire hunters, I mean, not quite, but, fighting a bunch of vampires, I want it to feel more fast-paced and energetic for a good action scene. So I get it, but it didn't quite work for me. This was very similar. It slowed down to really appreciate the choreography and all the goofy shit and interactions that are happening, which are funny, but I think if it was faster, or I'm gonna sound like a statist, but like it looked like it hurt more, I think it would have been way funnier. And to me, it's like the only part of the movie visually that just didn't work for me. So like, this is kind of off. But the rest of it was great, and it's still like a very funny idea. So there's that. At this point, the emotions make a tactical decision, like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. one of us has to go back to HQ and kind of monitor shit, and like they find walkie-talkies, because of course they do. It's like, we're gonna keep in contact with walkie-talkies. Sadness, you went on the adventure in the first movie, so you go back to HQ, and when we get the sense of self from the back of the mind, you use the machine and call us back so we can go and put Riley back where she is. Cool? I don't want to do this. Cool! So Sadness goes back to HQ and has some interactions with embarrassment throughout the movie, while joy, disgust, fear, and anger get to go on the adventure. So some of the fun, I guess, brain stuff that we see in the movie, aside from the vault, because I love the vault, we have a brainstorm, which is like, okay, we like, shit, we need an idea, and it makes like an actual tornado with thunder and lightning with all the different ideas flying around. There's the sarcasm, and it's the first time Riley ever says something sarcastic, where it makes this actual, like, big crevice. And I remember I watched it and I was like, the sarcasm? Like, really? That's what we're doing? Okay, like, I don't hate it, but sure. But then, they're trying to get the attention of, like, some construction workers across, like, hey, you guys look like you'd be really helpful. But across the sarcasm, it's, hey, you guys look like you'd be really helpful. You guys look like you're fantastic at your jobs. You guys look fantastic at your jobs. Like, okay, you made it work. You made it funny. I wasn't sure about it at first. Like, all right, that's actually pretty fun. And then when they get to Riley's imagination, there's Mount Crushmore, which is exactly what it sounds like, and I thought that was pretty funny. One of my favorite things in the movie, though, is they get into, what was it? I don't remember what it was in the first movie. It was like Pillow Fort Land or some shit, which has been turned into like a cubicle-style office with Anxiety talking to everyone in the imagination going, okay, we need ideas. I need futures, people. I need terrible fucking outcomes. So we know, it's like, okay, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? We need to know all of the possibilities, because if we have all the possibilities, we can start making plans for how to fix them. Let's go, people. Give me negative. And like, yeah, they're actively using Riley's imagination against her. That is the most realistic depiction of anxiety I could fucking imagine. Well, and like, Riley is trying to sleep, and she can't because of how anxious she is and all the shit going on in her head. So then Joy sneaks into one of the cubicles and she draws something nice. She's like, huh? A number 23, I don't think you're understanding the assignment. And then more of it comes on and Anxiety realizes what's going on. She's like, why are they all so happy? Joy, I know you're in there. I really, really liked that scene. Also, there's one joke. I didn't put it in the no spoilers because it's a little later into the movie, but there's a scene when Riley... Oh yeah, I haven't really talked about what Riley's been doing in the movie. So just no spoilers. Riley and her friends are going to like a hockey camp, and then more mild spoilers. Her friends are going to be going to a different high school, so Riley's like, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to hang out with my friends. There's this other girl who's like the coolest person ever that Riley really admires, who takes kind of an interest in Riley, not in like a romantic kind of way, but it's like, yeah, you've got talent, kid. You know, maybe you can hang out with me and my friends. So Anxiety is saying, hey, we need to prepare for the future. I understand that old Riley valued her friends. They're not gonna be here for us in high school. Riley needs to start making those connections now, so let's do that. Riley wants to get on the hockey team, and being on the hockey team means the cool kids are going to like us a lot more. So we need to impress them. We need to be even better than Riley. We can be Riley-er. That's not an actual line from the movie. That'd be really stupid, but that's the idea. And there's a point where she's talking to the cool kids. They're like, hey, what kind of music do you like? And Riley, who likes her boy bands, is like, I I don't know. And then he had anxiety going like, quick, like, get every memory we have on music. We have to think of something. And then you just hear the triple dead. And that was a great callback to that joke. I really liked that one. But, I'll go ahead and give a full spoiler warning. We're about to transition to that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full spoilers are live. So, Riley has been a total jerk to her friends and is really doing things that go against her character. Which, it's something I find really interesting about Inside Out is it really against her character? Is it like her emotions are getting... Is she her emotions in control of her, or is she actually in control of her emotions? Like, the reason anxiety is kicking in is because, oh, this new emotion is, like, going crazy. But it's like, yeah, that's just kind of how it works as a human. I don't know. But, like, she's, like I said, she's a jerk to her friends. During the big hockey game, she's being way too, like, aggressive and all about me and how she's playing. There's a point where she sneaks into the coach's office, like, to look at the book and say, like, what does the coach think about me? And the coach writes, she's not ready yet, which absolutely destroys her, which leads to her getting more aggressive in the big game. Like, all right, if I'm not ready, I'm going to prove that I'm ready. And anxiety going, like, we're going to... I also just love the way anxiety moves. Like, she's so quick and, like, neurotic in how she moves. There's also a really funny line where Fear is talking about, he's like, I think you and I can get on great. And then later is like, okay, I may not like all her ideas, I might not like all her methods, but I think I can fix her. Like, I got a good laugh out of that too. But, Riley starts becoming very toxic. And because anxiety has been putting all of these anxiety-riddled, memories into her beliefs and her sense of self, when Riley's new sense of self manifests, it's just anxiety. I'm not good enough. And they talk about how it's like, you put too much pressure on her. She can't deal with it. Like, Riley starts having a panic attack at one point. It's very uncomfortable to watch, but I think it's handled very well. Joy and the other emotions, they get the old sense of self. They're going to try to go back, but they're not able to because anxiety, like, I don't remember exactly what it was. So she basically broke their way back. And there's this moment where Joy is, like, by herself holding Riley's sense of belief and is looking at some of these other memories of Riley's failures, like her not so good moments, the things that are in the back of the mind because they don't matter. Riley doesn't need them. It's like, I don't think anxiety is something you can stop. And also, maybe when you get older, you just stop feeling joy. Ow! Like, yickety yikes, I felt that. Yeah. That was rough, like, I'm not gonna lie. But they're able to get back because, Anger's like, I have an idea, but I don't like it. So they summon Pouchy, get a bunch of dynamite, use the explosion to make an avalanche of bad memories, which end up going into Riley's belief system, and makes her a more fleshed out person. It's like, yes, I am a good person, but I make mistakes. I'm not good enough, but I want to win. I'm a good friend, but I've also, been a piece of shit to my friends. Because they're all a part of who you are. The good, the bad, the anxiety, and the joy. And they help her through her panic attack by rounding her out. And then when she's able to get back on the ice, the emotion she needs is joy. And it's a beautiful scene. You then get to, like, I don't remember the number. I want to say, like, 6 months later or so. It's Riley is in high school. She's with the cool kids. She's with the hockey team. She's waiting on the results on if, okay, did she make the team as a freshman? Which the other, or Val, was like the really cool girl. Like, she did that. I want to do that too. I don't know if I will, but also, like, if I don't, it's not the end of the world because I still have friends and I've got my other friends in the other school who I'm still close to and still interact with. Anxiety is a more healthier, like, the way they're managing anxiety is more healthy. Letting her do her thing without letting her take control. Nostalgia comes in one more time. She's like, oh, everyone, like, no, we don't need you yet. It's okay, Grandma. And the movie ends with Riley getting that message from her coach about if she made the team or not. And you don't see what the message is, but she just smiles. And that's how the movie ends. And as I was watching the film, I kept thinking to myself, Riley should not make the team. With how she's acting, at the start she's very immature because, like, Joy taking over. But also you see, like, just some of the shit that she's willing to do. Like, I'm gonna break into the coach's office. I'm gonna... Like, the way she plays the game, you see, like, she's very skilled and very talented, but she's not mature enough to do this. And with the way the ending is presented, I kind of feel like you're supposed to see it as, like, yeah, like, she made the team, and she's happy, it was all for the best. But it's not how I see the ending. Genuinely, the way I see the ending is after the hockey camp and after these few months, Riley's, as we've seen, her anxiety is a lot more managed. And after spending the entire movie building up to this, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, she's doing okay. To the point where she knows, if I don't get what I want, it doesn't make me less of a person. And I feel like when she gets that message, she does not get the message that she made the team. It's, you didn't, or like maybe next year. Again, we don't know exactly what it says. And she looks at it and realizes, even though I didn't get what I want, I'm still okay. I'm still happy. And that's what makes her smile. Because she knows she's gotten through that big, like, anxiety-ridden portion of her life. And I like that. I feel, to me, like, the ending of, like, yeah, you made the team despite all the terrible things you did. I'm like, I don't know, it leaves, like, a weird aftertaste in my mouth. Whereas this one, and I mean, it's something I recently went through as well, so it can be realistic. I'm like, no, that feels more in line with not only, like, the events that happened in the movie, but its theming. This was really, really good. If I were to rewatch it, there's a chance I might even say, you know what, maybe I do like it more than the first movie. I feel like I still prefer the first movie overall, but it's, like, if one's a 10 out of 10, the other's like a 9.9 kind of thing. I'm like, no, this is fantastic. As I said earlier, I hope you go see it. If you're a Pixar fan, I feel like you will like it. If you really love Inside Out, I feel like you will really love it. If you are someone who also struggles with anxiety, I feel like you might not like it, but I feel like you'll really appreciate it. I think that's it, so have a good day.